Good afternoon and welcome to Exposition, one of the show on RGCA where we feature artists or happenings in the art world in southeastern Ohio. This has been a pretty good summer, I would say. You've had, I don't know how much you have to do with it, but the French Art Colony has their Thursday night thing.
Yes.
Was it 6 o'clock?
Hot summer nights, art on the lawn, and the Gallia County Artisan Market. Yes, we do have something to do with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's awesome.
yeah, I've been to a couple of them. It's very nice.
Yes, food and music
Right.
and arts. It's wonderful.
So this show, we're going to feature a local tattoo artist, but not his art. He is featuring art from his world of tattooing. There's a brand new museum in the area, the Ohio Tattoo Museum, and we like to welcome Rich Thomas,
Welcome.
owner of Bickney Supply and the Ohio Tattoo Museum.
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and
I can do
all that, some of your
Yeah.
career?
My name is Rich Thomas. Like they said, in the tattoo world, I'm known as Rich T. I've been in the tattoo business, or around the tattoo business, since the early mid-'80s, and I've been tattooing actively for 20 plus years, and in the supply business since about 1999, and I've been collecting tattoo-related antiquities during all those years. So we're excited to have our museum open in its new space, and thanks for having me on here today.
We're so glad to have you.
So having been in the tattoo world since, the early 80s, you've probably been around, been to different conventions and things, and met a lot of interesting people.
I sure have.
Either the people getting tattooed or the tattooers. Is this where you've gotten this art that you found, or?
The first pieces I collected, I wasn't really aware that I was collecting yet. I just thought it was cool. Some of it, I've always been attracted to maybe what people would call lowbrow or outsider art. Today that's probably what they would call it.
Is that outsider art? Is that just tattooing, or is that just a whole
that
range
can
of
be
things?
all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Robert Williams might be considered outsider art if you're familiar with his stuff, or folk art, that kind of thing.
Right.
But one of my mentors, Mike Bacady, was a New York City tattooer. He gave me some stuff just because I thought it was neat, and so that's kind of where the collecting started. And then I've just gotten lucky over the years, and a large part of our permanent collection is from two sources. One was Al Shifley was a Sandusky, Ohio tattooer. He tattooed from 1927. Strange to mention, but he started his tattoo business from his parents' residence.
Wow.
So I'm thinking he must have had really, really cool parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the 20s, I'm not sure what the attitude towards tattooing would have been then.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we have probably what is 2/3 to 3/4 of the contents of his shop. He tattooed until 71, 72, passed away in 73, and then his son carried on the business till 2000 and sold the contents of the shop through an ad in the newspaper, and then I purchased. Like I said, 2/3 to 3/4 of the shop's contents from the fellow who bought that stuff.
So did you know this guy?
Did I know
The tattooer?
The Sandusky man.
Shifley?
Right.
No,
No.
he passed away in 73. I do know his son now, but I met him through acquiring that stuff and then sought
The
him out.
purchase.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had sold it to another tattooer that I bought it from.
Okay.
So, and then the other large collection we have belonged to this guy, Al Cook. I know very little about him, but he was a Cleveland businessman. Wasn't tattooed, didn't tattoo, but he had this lovely collection that contains some of the coveted pieces that we have. And that I found on eBay.
Huh.
And
So, So if you say
Find anything
coveted,
on-
who is this coveted by? Is it your personal favorite stuff, or is there stuff that is recognized in the community?
There's stuff that's recognized outside the tattoo world that's contained in the Al Cook collection. Bob Wick sheets, for example. You know,
Is it the
There-
names, or is it the type of art that?
Bob Wicks was particularly talented. You know, I mean, they're lovely pieces, and you know, he only tattooed for a short time. He left tattooing in 1930, and then went on to join the Royal American shows, and eventually, I understand, was the head of their art department, which back then would have been a big deal because they painted everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the train cars, all the show fronts, the banners, you know, but anyway, so he's known outside the tattoo world, and he didn't keep any of his tattoo stuff, so consequently it's valuable and sought after. If you look at the artwork, you know, it stands up on its own, in
If
or
s-
out of the tattoo world.
If someone sees this artwork that's well known in the tattoo community and they want it tattooed on them, is there a copyright, a legal thing?
Not in my
Because
mind.
it's artist license, the tattoo artists themselves is, you know, it's perfectly legal for them to use the artwork because it's their art. They make it their own. Is that
I
right?
would think so. I mean, a lot of particularly traditional, like Western tattoo images are reoccurring images. So lots of times
Sure.
when you see it, it's, you know, if I did it, it would be my version of that image.
Right.
You know,
right.
so you see, part of what I enjoy about our collection is you can see the same design, sometimes executed poorly, and other times
I'm
can
sure.
be exquisite, and everything in between.
Sure.
Strangely enough, sometimes I really like the stuff that's kind of crude. I find it charming.
Yeah.
Yes. Gives
I like that.
character.
Shading in the wrong spot. It just speaks to me. You know,
There's museums like that, bad art. You know?
I don't think it's bad art. I just think it's, you know, it's.
Well, they-
Well, it's
Like bad art.
It's like some of those older paintings, what you call it, that have three sides of a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you wouldn't be able to see three sides of a house at one point in time, but in this early American stuff, sometimes you see things that you shouldn't see, and it's not correct. But it's, like you said, has a certain charm to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it endears me sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
But you know,
So
and
for-
even in some classical paintings, it'll have what I call hinky anatomy. You know, like everything will be correct, and then it'll have like short legs or something that
Yeah.
aren't proportioned.
That's fun.
So,
So if we back up a little bit, when you get into tattooing, I know you have to do an apprenticeship. Do people usually start out as artists and then want to apply their art as a tattoo, or do they want to be in tattooing and so then they pick up the artist skills after that? I know there's probably a range, but
yeah,
Is it
it
like for
probably goes
yourself?
both ways. These days, it's probably more people are
artist first?
artists first, and years ago it may have been the other way around. In my case, most of my ability has come through the act of tattooing. You know?
Okay. So you weren't an art student before.
Well, I mean, high school, I took art classes and stuff, but I was not well trained or anything like
Right.
that. You know, and I did well with painting. I did some screen printing and stuff like that when I was a kid in high school. But you know, I rely more on my aesthetic, just my personal aesthetic, and then, like I said, my drawing skills and stuff have been through the act of tattooing.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how that kind of thing evolves. Now, still taking a step back, you have owned a tattoo shop or a few and have been a tattooer, and now you own a tattoo supply company.
Yep.
And what all do you supply other than just like machines and ink?
We manufacture the machines and tubes and stuff of that nature, and then we sell needles, any medical supplies associated with tattooing we sell. We have 300 plus titles, you know, a lot of tattoo history books, reference materials and stuff like that. I've tried to be the supplier I would have liked to have had when I started in the early 90s.
And this is an internet-based business, and you can walk into the storefront?
We don't encourage walk-ins, though having said, tattoo shops that are maybe within a 2-hour radius of us are welcome to come and shop. We only sell to professional tattoo shops.
Okay.
So we don't sell to like walk-ins off the street or
So
anything
if I
like
just
that.
want to pick up tattooing, I want to experiment, I don't come into your place and it's like, set me up.
Not my place.
Okay. So what would you find at the museum? I know you sell all the machines and all that sort of stuff. What do you find in the museum?
The museum, you can view parts of our permanent collection, which would have stuff that I've already mentioned, like Al Cook's collection. Most of that is up and displayed.
Now, is that called flash art, or is that something else?
People refer to it as flash, yeah. And flash would be like what people would decorate the walls of their tattoo shop with as examples of things that they could get. And
It's like the catalog. I want number 10. And
kind of, I mean,
You take
these
that
days
thing.
people come in with their cell phone and go, hey, can you do this thing from Pinterest on me
Yeah.
or whatever. But so there's a lot more custom work that goes on today. But, you know, a military town during World War II, it would be, I want that one.
right. I want the anchor and the U.S. Navy thing, and
USN, right.
the name of my particular ship or whatever.
Yep.
Or I want the check on my arm where I can make it
Yeah.
dance or whatever.
My dad had a USN
With the
anchor
huge
on one
bicep.
forearm and a nautical star with his name Don under it on the other arm that he got when he was
When did you get your first tattoo?
handpicked when I was like in 8th grade or something. You know, since covered up, but
Yeah.
my first
Wow.
professional tattoo was this little rose.
Wow.
Jan Goronsky out on West Broad Street in Columbus did that on me. So, and we have some of his stuff in our collection too. We later on, when I moved back to this area in the mid '90s, he and I became friends, and he used to come and visit and stuff. And,
At your museum, you know, there's the museum, there's the supplies to professional tattoo shops and professionals. Can you get a tattoo at your museum? Do you have a tattoo artist in-house at any time?
the only time we do tattooing there is when we're having an opening for the museum or something. And
Okay, a
maybe
special
visiting
occasion,
artists.
event.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's not like a tattoo shop open to the public.
Okay, but if someone says, I need to get a Rich T tattoo, will you honor that?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Typically
because.
anymore, I just
with the
tattoo other
reputation-
tattooers and stuff like that. But
Okay. Because there may be people wondering still.
might be.
With your
I do have
history,
a no compete
reputation.
clause with Temple.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
I cannot be open to the public.
Okay.
But like I said, at the opening, we had my buddy Ed Smith came down. He tattooed, and all the proceeds he donated back to support the museum.
That's
And
wonderful.
I'd like to make the distinction that the museum is a separate entity from our supply business and is like truly a labor of love. So we're depending on people's generosity to keep things going and
Sure.
keep things progressing. We did a Kickstarter that ended in April. I guess we ran it for about 4 weeks. That was successful. And that's what provided the money for all the renovation work and putting our fantastic bathroom in there that features a Vince Ray toilet and sink set.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. That is a nice bathroom.
Yeah.
I didn't take use of it, but I looked in and
It's functional.
It's pretty cool.
And
I
it's
didn't get a picture of it though.
Safe to say we've probably got the only toilet in southeastern Ohio that's got a flaming light bulb eyeball in the bottom of the bowl.
wow. I've got to see this. Absolutely. And it's
Baked right into the enamel.
That's amazing. And this is where the local Harley Davidson shop used to be.
Right.
So for our people who are familiar with where that used to be,
Yeah.
that's where you are now.
Yep, formerly Baxter's Harley Davidson, now Bickney Tattoo Supply, and then what used to be part of their showroom, we put up walls, and the museum has a separate entrance.
Okay.
And
So if you're familiar with Gallipolis or know the exit, you get off at the Holzer exit where the hospital is, and then you would travel more towards Rio Grande on that road, and it'll be on your right side, just outside of Spring Valley.
right.
So it's
1928 Jackson Pike.
right.
Bidwell.
It says Bidwell. Don't go to Bidwell looking for it. It's just outside of Spring Valley where the hospital is.
Yeah, literally 1 block outside the city limits, I believe, of Gallipolis.
On your
it's
way to the
Bidwell
farm.
and zip code only.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got some pictures. If we
Ooh.
could bring up some pictures, I took these at the opening.
Okay.
So that is one of the pieces of flash art, something you would point out. It's like,
Yeah, Diamond Joe Rivers. Don't know anything about him other than that was his name, and we have another signed piece where it says Hawaii 1944, which would indicate that he was probably working in Hawaii during World War II.
So this came out of a collection that you bought?
This was this piece was in the Shifley stuff, and then there was also a piece in the Al Cook stuff. So, but there was 3 of these in the Shifley stuff, so I suspect Al Cook from Cleveland got that one from Shifley because they were friends and knew one another and stuff.
Yeah, I took that. It just caught my eye.
It's a neat little piece.
And I don't think you have to be somebody with tattoos or a tattoo fan or anything else to enjoy some of this art. Could you go to the next one?
That piece in the forefront there is Les Skuse. He was the champion tattooer of England. Was a pretty famous guy, had the Bristol Tattoo Club during the 50s that has been resurrected by his grandson, and there's now, I guess, 3,000 plus members of the BTC. And if you're interested in joining the BTC,
What's the
Bickney
BT?
Tattoo Supply, Bristol Tattoo Club,
Okay.
but we are their representative in the United States. So.
Huh. How do you become a champion tattoo artist? Is that
Ooh.
speed or judging artwork?
I don't know. I mean,
I never heard it put like
Volume?
that.
He was a talented tattooer, but he was also press friendly, I guess would be a way to put it. You know, so he was known all over the world. Was in like numerous newspapers and stuff. He and Al Shifley from Sandusky became friends, probably through Al Cook. Because I have photos of Al Cook visiting England in the early 50s, and Shifley didn't travel over there till many years later. And then Al Shifley also had the Sandusky Tattoo Club, which was modeled after the Bristol Tattoo Club.
Is a tattoo club just people that have tattoos, or people that have certain tattoos, or
I mean, it was. I think it was probably a little bit of all of that. You know, the guys would use it to promote their tattoo business. Like there was a discount schedule if you were a Bristol Tattoo Club member. You know,
just like having your card from a particular store?
kinda, and it was also an excuse for like-minded guys that had tattoos and gals. You know,
Yeah.
to get together and have parties and stuff like that. And
Make it a
it was
social event.
yeah, it was a neat time. You know, there's other tattoo history guys that would probably say I'm incorrect, but like in September of 1956, Shifley had Les Skuse come over from England, and I mean it was like a who's who of American tattooers that attended this thing. So I always referred to it as what possibly could have been an early tattoo convention or the first tattoo convention. Like I said, there's other tattoo history guys that take issue with me. Whatever, they can do whatever they want, but it cannot be denied that it was like, I mean, it was just like a who's who of like
Right.
happening tattooers, you know. other guys in the supply business from that time. It was pretty neat. And a big deal to have traveled back and forth, during the 50s. It wasn't common for people to, make a trip to the United States from England
Right.
and vice versa.
Over the pond.
Yes.
Let's bring up another one. Okay, you have machines, and this particular machine stood out to me. Does it say Sin City or
Hell City.
Hell City, that's it.
Oh.
That's a machine that was made for the Hell City convention. I would say probably around 03 or 04.
So this is a whole case full of machines and different things.
Yeah, this is kind of my miscellaneous case, and then behind that one's a spider web machine. You may have heard of him. Another guy that's press friendly.
Okay.
Then to the right,
Oop.
and then that's our functional studio, so where the tattooing can take place, and that's also displays most of the contents of Shifley's shop, all the examples of flash on the wall, and the round wood frames are the actual frames that hung in his shop. And then the cabinets there that are kind of the barrier. The door's not original, but those cabinets are out of Shifley's shop, and the drawers are still, the contents of the drawers are as they were when I got them. I've left them the way they were.
Wow.
So, and then the
So
case
I guess
that you
you
can
would-
kind of see in the foreground there is dry pigments, and there's a machine rack in there that was part of Shifley's shop.
So you would tattoo in there during special events?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And that's where Ed was tattooing during our opening.
Right. Is that
There-
older stuff there?
Yeah, that case we can't really see the machines, but in the far left there's a couple machines that are actually were manufactured in Cincinnati. One of them is a Temke machine. He was only in business from 1918 to 1922.
Now, are most machines made by people like yourselves, or is there like a factory that does that kind of thing? I've seen some things are just kind of handmade haphazardly.
Well,
Yikes.
I mean, ours are handmade, but they're not haphazard.
Right.
I mean, we use
I know they're engineered well.
CNC machines, and then to make some of the components, and
It seems like I've seen some stuff that's just been taped together and
No.
rubber bands and all kinds
No,
of stuff.
thank you.
well,
Yikes.
one of the future shows we've discussed is tattooing on the inside.
Oh yeah, like
and
prison tattooing.
I
Yeah.
have some nice examples of that kind of stuff.
Of the art or the
The machines.
machines.
Yeah.
Huh. And then you've got
One
the-
complete with its story. He wouldn't let me put them on tape, but he wrote it all down.
Do you have any of the Eastern stuff where they tap the?
Not much of that. I have some books
Is it
from
bamboo?
Thailand where they fold open. They're really delicate and neat, and what they hand copy it. So they'll make, because a lot of these I don't know a lot about it, but my understanding is the different images have specific meanings, and so instead of copying it like on a copier, they literally sit down and hand copy the designs into a book,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
it folds out like really long.
Yeah, I was talking about the way they tattoo with the sticks and all that stuff.
I don't have any of those implements. I've got some knockoffs that I don't believe are authentic. I got them in an auction where I think the guy paid somebody to make stuff that looked like that.
Let's put up a few more pictures of the opening and go through these rather quickly. Had quite a turnout, and you can see it's a well done gallery. And over in the corner, we've got a musician.
Yeah,
We'll get a picture of him up here. Go ahead. There's some more machines in the forefront. And that left corner back there, I guess you're going to have things moving. This is Rich and Jorma Kaukonen.
Kaukonen. Jorma was a guitar player in Jefferson Airplane and Hot Tuna. And when I introduced him there, I often, before I knew him, I would equate him as one of the first heavily tattooed rock stars. So I would think of Jorma, Johnny Winter, Ozzy. So, and I kind of put him on the spot there, but he was good humored about it. And he did show his back piece that was done by Ed Hardy in 1977.
Ooh, very cool.
I did get a picture of that, but I wasn't going to post it. That's his thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then this,
Go back.
yeah, go back. This is kind of my tribute to Chris Fouts. He was the editor of International Tattoo Art and my champion. You know, I owe a lot of my career to him. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago. But his family gave me a bunch of his tattoo related and writing career related stuff. So that's kind of my tribute to him and his work.
Wow, that's great.
That's the front of the tattoo museum, which is kind of set back from the entrance of the Bickney Supply, but you can see that it is labeled. I don't think there's a street sign yet.
No, but that's coming,
Okay.
you know.
And the hours are kind of,
The hours are the same hours as Bickney, 11 to 7 Monday through Friday and 11 to 5 on Saturday.
okay.
Now, that may change in the future because we're hoping to staff it with college interns if the money continues to come in.
And I guess it's free.
It is free.
tourists?
It's just donation based, you know. And then we have T-shirts and mugs, and we have our OTM Joe coffee that's really tasty.
Ooh,
So,
nice.
and all the proceeds from the shirts and stuff go to support the museum directly. And we have a little online shop. That's if you go to the museum website, there's just click the store and you can go there and buy T-shirts and mugs and whatnot.
It's a very well done museum and something that's I don't know, a little bit off the beaten path that can draw some people to the area, and you don't have to be a person in the tattoo world to appreciate it. I thought it was really interesting. I plan on going back. So thanks for coming on the show, Rich.
Thanks for
so
having me.
happy to have you.
And hopefully
Thank
this
you.
can inspire some people to go to see the tattoo museum. So thanks for watching Exposition, and we'll see you next month. Till
See you then.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.